Hey guys, B here with our next Teen LibCrates talk. Today we are talking about A Thousand Beginnings and Endings, and this is a book of collection. Sorry, my cat has decided she wants to cuddle. This is a collection of stories based in Asian mythology and folklore, and it's by several different authors, and it's edited by Ellen O. and Elsie Chapman. So I'm going to read for you all the foreword because I think that it has a nice summary of what the book is about. And then we will talk about the two stories that I read for this week. So, from the editors, dear readers, for one of us, it was the first book a librarian gave to her when she finally summoned up the courage to ask for a new book recommendation. The Pink Fairy Book by Andrew Lang. For another, it was the one book she ever stole from her elementary school library, a book on mythology. Not that it was okay to steal the book, but she will finally admit to it now, more than 30 years later, with the school shut down for good, and said thief living on the other side of the world from her hometown. We both went on to devour other mythologies, Greek and Norse, from Ares to Danae, to Thor to Odin. We fell in love with all those myths about powerful gods being vulnerable, about humans becoming heroes. Such stories taught us about mythology, about the beauty of folk tales and legends, and about how stories of gods and goddesses are also stories about the human heart. But we never found similar compilations that were distinctly Asian. And so many times when we found Asian stories, they were ones retold by non-Asian writers that never felt quite right. They were always missing something. The stories felt superficial at best, and at worst quite hurtful. We longed for nuance and subtlety and layers, the embedded truths about culture that more often than not can only come from within. That's why this anthology is so important to us. Here, diasporic Asians reimagine their favorite Asian myths and legends from their own viewpoints. We would have been overjoyed to have found this anthology, filled with characters with skin and hair and names like ours, in our beloved libraries. It's the book that was missing in our lives for far too long. Beautiful, heartbreaking, moving, and brilliant, there are not enough words to describe how much we love all of these stories. We hope that you will love them too. To be able to bring this book to you, written by these amazing Asian authors, is a dream come true. Elsie Chapman, Ellen O. So, A Thousand Beginnings and Endings. The first story in this book is called Forbidden Fruit, and it was a really interesting short story about a personification of a mountain. And so the mountain, it has a spirit, and the spirit falls in love with a human, and because they fall in love, the spirit decides to give her heart to the human in the form of a gem, and then, unfortunately, the man is the human man even is sadly he's murdered, and his cloak that he wore all the time is stolen and is being worn by someone else. And so when the spirit goes down to see what happened when her human didn't come back for a few days, she saw that, well, she saw what she thought was him dancing with someone else, but really it was this thief. And the overall story is based on this idea that you shouldn't take from the mountain what isn't yours. And so in this story, what was taken was her heart, and she never got it back. So that was a fun short story. And something else that I like about this book is that after the end of the story, there's a little. Here, I'll show you. Maybe there's a little excerpt or an explanation of sorts about the underlying story, the underlying mythology. Um, so that's cool. And then the second story that I read is called Olivia's Table, and I liked Olivia's Table. It's a ghost story, and Olivia is the daughter of a woman whose job was to create these meals for ghosts on one day of the year, so that the ghosts would be made whole and they could pass on to the next life. Um, and so Olivia takes up this job, and she goes and makes meals for all of these ghosts. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much it. But I enjoyed it, um, and I think that you will too. This book is comprised of short stories, and so it's nice to be able to sit down and read a couple of different stories in one sitting. And yeah, it's I also find the folklore and the mythology to be really interesting. So I'm curious to know what you think. Have you picked up your LibCrate yet? Have you picked up your book? Um, if not, what are you waiting for? And so, yeah, I look forward to continue reading this one, and I also want to know what you think. What are your thoughts on this book? What are your impressions? So yeah, that's all that I have for this week, guys. So I hope that you all have a great day. Be safe, be kind, wash your hands, and we will see you next week for our next Teen Lip Crates talk.